As a Patriots fan, I'm obviously very disheartened, concerned about the loss that we had week one against the Dolphins. Obviously, you're probably ecstatic the fact that your Dolphins won, but it was just a very sloppy loss for the Patriots down in Miami, man. Like they went down there 5 days early to somehow get acclimated to the environment, right? That seems like it didn't help at all. They only scored 7 points, and even those 7 points they scored were on a drive that was aided by some questionable refereeing. In totality, the team itself looks like it's an undisciplined team. They turned the ball over, bad penalties, more of the same from last year. More of the same for the last 2 years now. It's year three post Brady, and we constantly keep saying this over and over again how they're very bad coach team. They don't seem to be ready. Just the mental mistakes are something we never thought we would see out of a Patriots and coach Bill Belichick coach team, but it's now a consistent thing. Like the old Patriots was so long ago. Like I mean, this is a complete different team that I don't even recognize, truthfully. So looking forward to this game against the Steelers. I'm not gonna lie to you. I am absolutely shocked and flabbergasted. We had a conversation about this that the Pats are favored in a home opener for the Steelers, where on the other side they have Brian Flores helping them out on defense, right? Brian Flores was obviously the head coach of the Miami Dolphins last year and a couple of years ago, actually, for 2 or 3 years now. But he had a very good, successful track record against the Patriots. So I find it fascinating that the Patriots are favored to go in there. I personally don't think they're going to win. I think this is one of those things where Brian Flores is going to give his full-on insight to how to stop Mac Jones and the Patriots. On top of that, we still don't know what Mac Jones' condition is. If you guys haven't heard, after the game, he went to the X-ray room to have his back checked out. I know, Puma, you've got some conspiracy theories on these that he was trying to duck the media, but from all indications, it seems like his back and all the X-rays and tests came back negative, so they listed as a back spasm, so he should be starting on Sunday. But in regards to overall feel for this game, I do have the Steelers winning. I think it's going to be a close game. I think the Patriots can only go up from here on offense. If they scored 7 points last week, I'm hoping they can score 14, 17 and keep it somewhat close because this is going to be a low-scoring, close game. But I've got the Steelers winning, man.
Yeah, I'm with you there too, Jay. Like, there's nothing about this Pats offense and really this Pats squad that it inspires a lot of confidence. I mean, Mac Jones, when he got sacked against the Dolphins, and it was a sack fumble that was returned for a touchdown because they were in their own territory. I mean, he didn't feel the pressure. The offensive line didn't do him any favors, and there's just so many questions about schematically, like what's the personnel that's going to be on the field. And I know there's a whole thing we can also go into about the Kendrick Bourne fiasco of he was in the doghouse the whole game, and then the one time he showed up, it was the most explosive play of the game for a 40-yard bomb down the sideline. Then he was nowhere to be found, and whatever semblance of an offense they had just went out the window at that point. But on the other side of things, Mitch Trubisky was okay, but the offensive line for the Steelers isn't that great. I mean, we saw that. Najee Harris, he's dinged up in this game. He re-aggravated a foot injury that he was dealing with in training camp. So I'm thinking he's gonna gut it through and play on Sunday. But who knows at this point? TJ Watt is gonna miss this game because he tore his pectoral. So he's probably going to be out for. Is he on injured reserve, Jay, or did they not? They didn't put him on IR yet, right?
So they have to make the decision by Saturday, and they're going to make that decision as they get closer to that deadline by 4 p.m., I believe. Just because they're still in that phase of gathering as much information as possible. I know he went out there and got a second and third opinion, essentially finding a doctor that said, you know what, just let this heal. But I'm sure the team also wants to run their process as well and figure out if that's a good move or not.
Right. So, I mean, he's going to be out for an extended period of time, but this Pats offensive line is just so bad. Cole Strange, your number one draft pick this year was benched the rest of the game for a guy that was worse than him last year. So, I'm going to go with the Steelers. It's going to be a low-scoring game. The over-under is at 40. If I'm betting this game, I'm taking the under, and it's at 40. Hell, Jay. I might play this all the way down to 35
Mm-hmm.
because like both offenses are just blah at this point, and there's so many question marks for New England. And I never thought we'd be sitting here on September 13th saying that a week 2 game is pretty much do or die for this Patriot squad, because then coming up after this, you got the Ravens, you got the Bills, you got, it's a murderous row of things before they get to like the middle part of the schedule where it's pretty manageable, where you're facing like the Jets and the Lions and whatnot. But I mean, they have to win this game. Like, I don't think I'm being rash in saying that if they don't win this game, there's a good chance they're looking down the barrel of an 0-4 start.
Well, I think it's a good point. It's a must win, Puma, just because there's been a lot of rumblings this offseason about there's a certain lack of buy-in from the players. It seems that Bill Belichick has to convince his team that they're going to be all right. And if you've seen how he's talked in his post game and his media interviews, you would have no idea this is Bill Belichick talking. He's very rosy. He's very complimentary. He's talking about stats. He's talking about how they won the yardage stats. I mean, he's talking about stuff that in the past he's flat out come out and said stats are for losers, and now he's using that stats as a positive for the team. So I think there's a lot of positive reinforcement happening here, because I think he understands his team doesn't believe in him. And that, let's just call for what it is, because everybody's been tiptoeing around this. There's been a lot of issues with the Patriots this offseason, and we thought going into week 1 the biggest problem with this team was going to be Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and that wasn't the case. Like, literally, it was an all right game they called. And besides like 2 or 3 plays where they play calls that came in that we were like, what the hell is that? For the most part, the play calling was all right. They weren't the bigger issue. The bigger issue simply was Mac Jones looked horrible, and Bill Belichick's teams looked like they were unprepared. I mean, they're still making the same mental mistakes they made for 3 years now before Matt Patricia and Joe Judge came into the picture. So the fact that it was more on Belichick and Mac is what's the most concerning part for us as Patriots fans, because we've always thought that Mac and Belichick were going to be the stronghold of this foundation, right, of the house. But it looks like it's not that. It seems like Mac's, for all the stuff that we heard over the offseason about how he's gone stronger, his arm strength is there. It just did not translate to the field on Sunday, right? It doesn't matter what play you call and who calls it, whether it's Josh McDaniels, Bill Belichick, or Matt Patricia. A ball is going to float to the out route is going to take a sweet old time with Max throwing it.